Okay, so we'll jump into the support controller. And the first thing that we're going to do is create ourselves a form. So we'll say this, create FormBuilder. This is available to us because we're extending controller. So we can just click on that and see the controller class is what we're extending, which is why we've got access to all these additional methods. Don't need to worry about that too much. And on this form, we're going to add a field called from, not form, which in our case is going to be an email type. And what this does is it adds additional HTML or markup to the elements that get rendered for this particular field. So in this case, it will be an email type. So that's an input type with the type of email. Again, you don't need to worry about this too much. I'll link to more information on where you can find additional stuff about these various different form field types in the show notes. And I'll also link to some extra videos which I would recommend you watch if you are at all curious. And as we've got a from, we also want a message. And in this case, we're going to have a text area type. We will also want a submit button. So we'll call that send. And that's going to be a type submit type. And then we'll need to go ahead and get the form. And once we have the form, we can pass it into this render method. So say onto that template, pass in a variable, which we're going to call form. In fact, we'll just call it our form. And we'll say form. In this case, we need to create the view. Okay. So if we go back to our page and give it a refresh, at this stage it should work, but nothing will actually happen. And that's because we've not told Twig to actually render that form. So if we jump into the index and under hello, we use double parens and then we'll say form and we want to render my form. Is it my form or our form? Our form. Okay. So give that a shot. And you can see it's come out, looks a bit hideous, but it's there. And again, if we inspect the HTML at this point, we've got a form with the method of post. We've got our form from, form being the name of our form, and from being the field name. We've got this input type of email. By default, it's going to be required. Same again for our text area. We've got our submit button, and we also have a CSRF token added for us for free. So it's a cross-site request forgery protection. Kind of nice. If you're coming from like WordPress or similar, no need to deal with like nonces or anything like that, or n1ces, or however you pronounce it. Terrible name. Anyway, because those styles are so upsetting, let's go ahead and fix them. So jump back into our Symfony application under app config. We'll jump under config.yaml, and under Twig, we'll add in a new key called form themes. And under here, we'll say bootstrap 3 horizontal layout.html.twig. In fact, let's switch that out to be double quotes just to keep consistency with the rest of our config. Let's give that a refresh. And that's already looking a bit better. However, if we fill this in, aside from getting shouted at because I'm not using a proper email there, if we try to submit it, that is, if we click send, not a lot actually happens. I'll close down this bit for the moment. We can see our form was submitted. So this takes us to the Symfony profiler. You can see that our form was submitted. These were the posted parameters. There's various other bits and pieces in here. I would advise you to take a look through it. But really at this stage, not a lot actually happened. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that hello as well, as that's bugging me. So we'll get rid of that. And so what we want to do is we want to say, please handle the request. And so what this is going to do is when you submit that form, implicitly it's going to post back to this particular route because we didn't tell it to post anywhere else. We can do, but we don't need to at this stage, but we will do very shortly. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at the request, so this that we've injected, which is a very common idiom in Symfony land, and from there it's going to be able to determine if we have actually submitted the form. If we haven't, it's just going to bypass the whole lot and then just render out again. However, if we have submitted the form, then we would probably like to do some interesting things, which we will get onto in the very next video.